Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's all about creativity. I think it's mostly about execution. That's something we've talked about a lot, and that's something that We've met as an offense and talked about. We just gotta get better. We gotta execute. It's the details and the stuff that is in whatever the install is or whatever our game plan is. We gotta know it at the back of our hand and execute that. And I think that's the starting point. And then going from there, then you can add wrinkles, you can do whatever. But I just think that's where we have to start at. I don't think it's always about creativity. Just my honest opinion. Sometimes it is, but I don't necessarily think that's the sole reason. So, yeah, I think it's on all of us. We got to be better. We got to execute more.
There's always progress, and maybe even if it looks like it's a step back, there's usually some progress. Do you look at this as the last few weeks as no interceptions being, at least the silver lining, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, there was, I don't think I've played my best football, so I'm not pleased with that. But I mean, yeah, it's nice to not, I did have a turnover in the Colts game, but not to not have thrown an interception the past few weeks. So, I mean, yeah, that's a positive. But the last two games we lost, didn't play well at all last game. So that's definitely not a positive. So we want to get better. We want to have more explosive plays, move the ball more consistently. But yeah, I mean, I think for me to take that next step, that is obviously important. Is to take care of the ball, and I think I've grown a lot in that area this season.
You guys signed Jaden Mickens this morning. You have John Brown now here for over a week. For you, I know you've said it's a little different than college where, you build this chemistry with these guys. What's it been like trying to build chemistry with guys that literally are just getting brought in and in the heat of the season?
It's different. It takes a little bit of extra work, and then in practice, you just have to get used to seeing a bunch of different guys in there at different times, and really just have to communicate well. If you want something a certain way, or if you need to correct something, you just talk about it, right after. So the guys have been great. The new guys that have come in have been awesome. They picked it up quick, very receptive to all that, and first time seeing Jaden today, so that was good. He looks really good. So we'll have to get him up to speed, and definitely another weapon for us. So I'm always all for that.
Can you talk a little bit about the perseverance, resilience, whatever word you want to use from J-Rob, because it's pretty obvious he hasn't been 100% for a little while now, but he seems to just go out there and gut it out no matter what.
Yeah, that's just a guy. That's just a guy you want on your team. Obviously he's a great player, but just the way he carries himself, really hard worker, always on his stuff, very mature, and like you said, I mean, we all have some things going on, but especially him. You could see, obviously he got banged up against Seattle, and since then just fighting to get back, and he's done a great job of just kind of toughing it out, and that's what you would expect from a guy like that, just knowing his character, and he's been awesome. Just a guy, like, as a quarterback you want to play beside, so it's nice having him.
Trevor, did you watch were the Falcons the team you watched a lot growing up, and did you your opinion of Matt Ryan as a quarterback?
Yeah, I watched him a lot growing up. I didn't watch a ton of NFL. I was more of like a college football fan as a kid, but obviously that was the home team in Atlanta there. We were really close. So we'd go to games, we'd watch the games. Always liked Matt Ryan. I think he's a great player. And really the way he's carried himself throughout his career has been impressive. And just you watch him every game, I feel like he plays well. So it's cool to see, and he's a great player.
What was your perception of Kyle Pitts? Obviously, you both came out. You were in the draft the same year, watching him from afar last year, and now watching him in the NFL his rookie season.
He's awesome. There's not many guys like that. I don't know if there's any. He's probably the only one really like that. So he's a special player, obviously. And I remember even in college watching him, like before our games, be watching TV, seeing Florida play, and just have like 3 touchdowns every week, and just crazy stuff like that. So he's a great player. Obviously, it's a big weapon for them. A guy that's a tight end, but really is like an extra receiver out there with long arms, like 6'5" or whatever he is. So that's a big weapon, obviously.
What has it been like for you to just kind of see AJ Terrell kind of taking steps he is? I know he's out in the big season.
Yeah, AJ's awesome. I played with him for 2 years, and a great player. And I really he's one of the hardest workers on our team. Carried himself like a pro even in college. So I know it's not surprising to see the success he's had. And to see, when the Falcons picked him a couple years ago, it wasn't surprising to me at all. I know to some people it was, but just being around him for 2 years, he's impressive. And watching him on tape, I think he's one of the best corners in the league. So it's it's cool to watch him be successful. You know, he's a great guy, so I'm happy for him. But yeah, it'll be good to see him.
How different is that, just watching him on tape, considering he was a guy, you know, you were seeing in practice every day a few years ago?
Yeah, it's a little bit different just because I know him personally, and then just seeing some of the stuff he did even in college and some of the, I guess, whatever you want to call it, tendencies, the way he likes to play. You see the same things that you saw on the practice field every day. The things he's good at, you know, what he wants to do as a defender, you know, what his go-to things are. So seeing all that, it really carries over because you see things and you're like, this is exactly how he did it, you know, in practice. And it was obviously hard going against him in practice every day. So that's cool to have that experience and look back on it. And he's got the same thing with me. So
You mentioned earlier about you were more of a college football fan, but obviously just geography alone, you know, your home's going to get Atlanta Falcons games on a routine basis.
Mm-hmm.
How crushing was the whole 28-3 thing a few years back for you personally? 'Cause that was in high school.
Oh man, yeah. Like I said, I wasn't like a huge fan of the Falcons necessarily. You know, I just didn't watch the NFL a ton. But yeah, it was definitely, now that the Braves won the World Series, that was big for our state. But it had been a while since we've won a championship. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's I'm sure I don't want to say too much because we're playing that team, but it's definitely, I'm sure, heartbreaking for those guys. I can't imagine getting to that stage and to end like that. That's tough.
Heartbreaking for you at the time.
Yeah, not for me necessarily. Like I wasn't. Like I said, I watched them. Obviously, I was cheering for them because that's kind of the team I rooted for if I did root for one. But yeah, not super emotional for me.
Bigger Braves fan than NFL?
A little bit. I definitely went to more Braves games as a kid. I feel like that's definitely when it was at Turner Field. Now they have the new stadium and all that. But yeah, I went to a lot of Braves games.
When you've got, you sure? When you've got new guys in, and how do you have to adjust your expectations on game day on the field? When these guys haven't really been in the offense very much, and do you have to adjust what you expect out of them or no?
I mean, it just depends. I think depends how new the player is. Obviously, if it's someone like John last week, who had just gotten here, that's something where when you're game planning, you have certain personnels and certain plays where he's in the game, so you can plan for what he's going to do and talk about it the day before, a couple days before, throughout the week. And usually towards the end of the week, you have a good idea, like this is the play you're going to be in. There's a few of them, and you work on those and get a few reps, make sure you're on the same page. And that's about all you can do when someone's that new. You can't teach them the whole offense in a week. You got to just try to give them a few plays and mix it up. And yeah, so that's kind of what you have to do. And it's not the easiest thing, but also you want to have any weapons you can get out there. You want to have them on the field, so if they can help us and put them in a position to be successful, we're going to do that. So I think the guys have done a good job of picking it up, but got another new one today, so got a little bit more work to do.
Just how different is this Falcons defense scheme-wise? I know their coordinator, he's kind of known for throwing a bunch of different things at quarterback.
Yeah, they do a good job. Pretty simple on base down, like the last few teams we've played. Indy and San Fran were very simple first and second down, but then third down got more exotic, like most people. But he does a really good job mixing up the looks. They like to play man coverage, but then he does a really good job of mixing in the too high zones with pressure. So you don't know where guys are coming from, and people are, coming from the left side of the line to go play, their zone spot on the other hash. So just stuff like that. Guys are flying everywhere. So we have to communicate really well and make sure we're on point with all that. And then for me, my eyes are super important pre-snap or post-snap, just seeing the rotation and where guys are going. So and finding the soft spots, and that'll be big.
Does that make timing even more important?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, timing's huge in this league. Windows are small, and when there is some voids, you got to take advantage of them because you're not going to get them all the time. So for sure.
When a team's trying to take away a guy like the 49ers did Dan Arnold last week, when they're bracking him, but you need to get that guy the ball, how tough is that?
Yeah, it can be tough. Obviously, that's when you got to find your other guys and make plays, and that's something that we're still continuing to figure out what we're really good at and the next step to this offense. But yeah, I mean, there's always ways to get them the ball, and didn't really do that last week for whatever reason. Just how the game went. They did a good job of trying to take them away. So that's something that you always have a plan for, and then they played a lot of man coverage last week. We got to beat man, and you got to be really accurate when you're playing man coverage. So that's, those are the two things.
We have to ask you, what's on the Thanksgiving spread tomorrow?
Yeah, we're having our family in town Friday, so we're not eating until Friday, but everything. I don't even know. I'd have to look at the menu. Turkey, ham, like all that. So we're having it all.
Do you have a personal favorite that like has to be on the table?
Sweet potato casserole is probably like my go-to Thanksgiving food. That's not like necessarily the common ones, like ham or whatever. So I'd say sweet potato casserole. All right, sweet. Thank you all.